if this is your first time here, hello, my name is Mika. Thank you so much for stopping in. So today let's talk about why marriage should not be the goal. When we are so focused on goals, any goals that we have in life, we would do anything to get there. A lot of times we just don't like to fail at anything. And so since we're so focused on that, we tend to miss out on other opportunities around us because we're like, no, this is it. This is what I want. This is what I'm going for. And that's that. Well, I feel like a lot of times, and this is just for me, but in my opinion, a lot of people don't want to be married like for the biblical reasons or reasons based off of their religion. They want to be married because society is pressuring you so much to get married because you're not going to be happy. You're not going to have this. You're not going to have that until you're married. But what they don't tell you is that one, life gets way harder once you are married because Satan, if that's what you believe, hates marriage. So he's going to attack you 10 times worse than if you were walking single. He's going to attack you because he's going to try to destroy marriage, the union of God, if that's what you believe. Again, the union of God. Therefore, it's supposed to be for God's purpose, not your happiness. I know that sounds so like it's really a really sticky conversation, but God doesn't really care about our happiness as much as he cares about your purpose. So when you get married, it's supposed to be purpose driven, not feelings driven, meaning, oh, I feel like I love this person, they're so handsome, they're so fun, they're so fun, I want to get married. That's not the reason. That's why we see a lot of divorce today, because people are emotional based. They're following their emotions and their flesh and their lusts and their desires, their personal desires, and we're leaving God out of it. And when that happens, you get divorced. It's inevitable. Because we need to know our purpose so that we'll know the people we should attach ourselves to in that manner to spend the rest of our lives. But to make that type of commitment, you need to be in the same purpose as me. Because even though I may change my favorite color or I may change the things that I like to do, my purpose remains the same. My purpose is what God has for me. And once you know that, and that other person knows what their purpose is, you can then see if your purpose aligns. You get what I'm trying to say? Does that make sense to you? So when you know that and you connect with someone based off of purpose, then you're way more you're at a higher advantage of having a successful marriage, because you're going to have times of unhappiness. You're going to have times of feeling like you fell out of love, which you don't fall out of love. It's a decision, because love is a feeling, and it's an action word. I think sometimes it's kind of hard for us to comprehend what love truly is. But sometimes we just feel like we fall out of love. But we're just making a decision to, because you can continue to feed and, grow something or, reconnect with people. You can continue to do that if you choose to. A lot of times we just give up. Back to what I was saying. So when we make marriage the goal, we forget about, first of all, what is our purpose right now in life? What is the purpose? That's the number one thing you need to find out. Everything else comes second to what God's purpose is for you. Once you figure out your purpose, then you can worry about, where you like to live and, what type of whatever you are looking for, just for a little bit of comfortability for you in your marriage. But first of all, that purpose is most important. So when we are just focused on that, like I said, you miss out on learning what your purpose is, and you miss out on people who may be better fit for your purpose. Therefore, you could stay married and happily married way longer or forever, like it's supposed to be. And I know that some people say that's old school. That's just because divorce has been just so easy to get married and it's so easy to get divorced. That's why it's not shamed anymore. So that's why it sounds like, oh, you're old school. No, it's just the world changed and not for the better. Because a lot of people, if you want to go the biblical route, you'll know that you're not supposed to just get divorced because you're not happy. You're not supposed to get divorced because your husband don't work no more and you make more money than him. You're not supposed to get divorced because your wife gained some weight. You're not supposed to get divorced because of just worldly things, of appearance. I don't care if your spouse just decides to never take care of themselves ever again. You're supposed to stay married and committed to that person because you vowed that before God. You get what I'm trying to say? That's a whole different ball field. It's not just a promise before people. It's a promise before God, and you don't want to play with God. So take that. I think if a lot of people took that into consideration, a lot of people wouldn't want to be running down the aisle. And the other reason is that people just want to be able to have sex and everything, but know that marriage is like any other relationship. And yes, I know about relationships because I was living the worldly way before. I'm not married. I have never been married yet, but I'm just saying that it's still a relationship. And so in that relationship, you're going to have ups and downs. You're not always going to be having sex. The same thing for a marriage. It's nothing different except for it's a vow before God. It's a commitment before God. And you're legally tied to that person. That's it. It's more serious in God's eyes because you're taking that commitment, you're taking that vow, and it's a lot harder to get out of than a regular relationship. But overall, ultimately, it's a relationship. So we have to stop with this focus, this grandiose idea that it's going to be just amazing and I'm never going to have trials and tribulations. I'm never going to go through hard times. I'm never going to suffer through anything once I'm married. That's not true. And I think sometimes we rush to that because we think that that's what's going to happen. We think, oh, well, somebody chose me, so then they're never ever going to want to leave me. And that's not true. We see all the time, obviously, divorce rates are high. So, again, it's important really just to walk in your purpose. Start walking on that trail of what you feel called to do. And then also enjoy your singleness, enjoy your life. Even if you're in a relationship right now but you're not married, you're still considered single. I'm sorry to say that. I know I hate hearing that too, but it's true. You're either single or you're married. So enjoy your moments of singleness and continue to learn yourself, continue to grow in your faith. If you believe, continue to grow in yourself, continue to grow with your belief system, whatever you got going on, continue to grow in that. And don't focus on goals, because sometimes, like, what happens if it takes you 10 years from the time you set your mind to it? Then you're going to give up. You're going to start feeling like, oh, well, it's not meant for me. You're going to be stressed out. You're going to be unhappy. And you're not living your life because you're just so focused on this one thing. Like I was saying before, I just feel like a lot of people are just in competition. Oh, she's married, I need to get married too. Oh, she had a beautiful wedding, I need to have a bigger wedding. Marriage is not about the wedding. It's not about the wedding. That's a one-day event, like your birthday. And after that's over, that's it. You're with that person, supposed to be forever. So stop thinking like, oh, it's just, going to be amazing. Everybody's going to be praising me and stuff. Once it's over, it's over. I mean, your anniversary come around, people will be telling you happy anniversary and things like that. But for the most part, people don't care. I mean, some people may be jealous or envious, or they're like, oh, when's my partner coming? But for the most part, people are here trying to get for themselves. So don't just rush into a marriage because you just want to get married and you're this age and you want to have kids, and let things happen when they're meant to happen. I know it's frustrating and sometimes it does feel like God just left you, because I feel like that sometimes too. Like, what in the world? I've been single now for 3 years, working on myself and completely single, so this is the first time ever in my life, like I was telling you all before in earlier videos, the first time ever that I truly been 100% single, dedicated to myself, dedicated to God, dedicated to my child, just 100% me. I go on dates, yes, but I'm not committed to nobody, so I get it. You know, when you're trying to move the right way and you're trying to hear from God and you're trying to wait on God, sometimes it does. A lot of times it does get a little discouraging because you see everybody else. You're like, I know, I already went through all this, and that person barely did work on themselves. And look at them, they're married. They're on their third, fourth marriage. But like I said, honestly, marriage is just not the goal. Let's just put it that way. It's just not the goal. If it happens, that is amazing. But stay focused on the reason for marriage. Don't get married just because everybody else is doing it. Don't get married because you're afraid to be alone and you just feel like that person is just going to make your world better and it's better to have somebody than nobody at all. That's terrible because somebody can ruin your life. You're tying yourself to somebody, your whole life to somebody. Keep that in mind. Divorce is not favorable by God. I mean, but if it has to happen, it has to happen. But you lose a lot throughout divorce, and it's a process. It's a long process. So be very careful before you just jump into a marriage with somebody. Don't just marry somebody. Oh well, there's a lot of things about this person I don't like, but at least they want to get married, so maybe it'll change in the marriage. It will not. You have better odds of it getting worse before it changes. Keep that in mind. Don't just get married because you think it's going to be all kinds of sex and fun times and selfies and vacations and all that. Stop that. It's not true. Don't get married because you just, want the wedding. Like, listen to what I'm telling you. Marriage is not the goal. Because if you really knew what it took to get married, you would take your time. You would take your time getting to that altar. Because there's so much that goes into marriage. You're 100% responsible for someone else, and someone else is 100% responsible for you. And you got to come together and move as one. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And you need to connect yourself with someone who's willing to do that and someone who has the same vision. It don't have to be exactly the same, but they're looking in the same direction as you. Because then you can come together and live out God's purpose together. Can't be with somebody who's trying to go left and you trying to go right. It's just not going to be a happy marriage for you. I mean, like I said, God don't care so much about your happiness, but he ain't going to put you in a situation where he wants you to be miserable just for his purpose either. But I'm just saying, like, you just slow down. It's nice to get married. It's nice to be in a relationship with people. But let's be honest, there's a lot of broken people out here. There's a lot of people who got a lot of spirits on them, a lot of demons on them. And honestly, if we really thought about it in that sense and about how many people have so much debt and how many people are, cheaters, how many people lie, how many people are manipulative, how many people are narcissistic, like you guys like to say, how many people, don't know which way in life they want to go. They don't know themselves. It's in the closet. Like, there's so much, then you would slow down with trying to get married. Not discouraging you from marriage, but I'm just saying, in order for you to stay focused on the goals that God has for you, the vision that God's giving you, the purpose that God's giving you, in order to truly focus on it, marriage is not the goal. That comes along the way. But at first, right now, you just need to focus on God, if that's what you believe in, or focus on yourself, whatever your belief system is. Focus on yourself, whatever your higher power is. Focus on that. And then along the way, then you can appreciate getting married and you can better discern who's best for you and who, that's just somebody that's just a nice person to meet. I hope this makes sense, and I hope I'm not being discouraging. And no, I'm not bitter or upset that I'm not married, because I could have been married lots of times, but it's by choice because I know the severity of marriage, and I know that people like to go through marriage just like they like to change their underwear, and that's just not something I'm interested in doing. Social media brags so much about, puts it out there so much about people being married and stuff, but those same people a couple years later are divorced and going through domestic situations or infidelity and things like that. And it's just, I am not ready to put myself in that position to have to deal with that. So I'd rather wait on God, take my time, still date, still meet people, but at the same time, just walk along the path, not run. I hope that makes sense. I used to be a runner, like, oh, I gotta find somebody. No, I'm okay, and I'm happy with where I am. I'm happy with what I know. So you let me know what you think about this video. I know it was long, but just please let me know. As always, please be respectful and polite and kind and courteous, because someone, including myself, is reading your comments, and we are here to uplift spirits, not break people down, not make people feel silly for feeling the way that they feel, and not making it like your life is just so much better than someone else's just because you're choosing a different route than what someone else is. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say, but just let me know. We'll keep the conversation going, and we will talk next time. Bye.